Yes. Alrighty. What's up, everybody? It is I, your tribal god of extreme, Peter Joseph here, for a cloudy Wednesday afternoon, May the 6th, 2026. So, if you're a Sith, may the Sith be with you, or the 6th, whatever. But, May the 6th, 2026, on your Wednesday afternoon. Thank you all for watching right here on Metal God 669. And as always, thank you for watching. Make sure you like the video and hit and subscribe to my channels right now. All the links are down below in the description box. Simple as that. Alright, as you all know, if you follow my channel for many years, this channel's been around, this is a tribute channel to the faithful departed in wrestling, movies, other sports, baseball, stuff like that, politics, music and movies, and other things. And I also do music-related topics with the Rock and Roll Hall of Shame or the Hall of Fame, concert footage here and there, album reviews, soon, later on, hopefully this year, song reviews, and stuff like that. Because the new Motionless in White song came out with Corey Taylor. It is fucking banging. It is a banger. So, we'll talk about that maybe a little later on. Not this weekend, maybe next week we'll talk about it. Along with the Rock and Roll Hall of Shame inductees. But if you like music, stick around, hit that subscribe button for more. And check out my tribute videos to Hulk Hogan, Jerry Springer. I did one about a day or two ago for John Sterling of the Yankees. So check those out. Those are tribute videos, not meant for clout, not meant for views and all that other stuff. You think that, you have a problem. And that's pretty much it. I'm not out here to get views. If I get a lot of views, great. If I don't, I don't care. I'm just paying tribute to the faithful departed. That's pretty much it. Alright, since we lost John Sterling on I believe Monday, well, sadly we have another death. And this one hit this morning. And if you followed wrestling back in the 80s, even into the 90s, with the Monday Night Wars, this guy was mostly part of it in the mid to late 80s and early 90s. The founder of WCW, the founder of TBS, and CNN. You know him, you love him, you can't get enough of him. But sadly, billionaire Ted Turner, sadly has passed away today at the age of 87. He died near his home, at his home near Tallahassee, Florida. Philip Evans, a spokesman for the family, confirmed the death. He confirmed that today. In 2018, Ted Turner announced that he had Lewy body dementia, which is a progressive brain disorder. That's nasty. Dementia's not fun. Terry had it a little bit. Terry Funk. He had some form of dementia. Dementia's not fun. I had a family member that had that, and actually a family member and the missus. The missus had a family member that had dementia, and you had to go through it. Dementia's not fun. When somebody's just completely out of there, they don't know who they are, they don't know who you are. They're pretty much gone. So their brain is starting to turn to mush. But sadly, Ted Turner has it, and then. Pretty much 8-year battle with dementia. But sadly, he passes away today. His signature creation was CNN Cable News Network, which revolutionized television news in 1980 and still going on today, even though it's a Democratic channel. But that's another story for another time. Presented at all hours of the day. eventually inspiring other media operations to follow suit. Fox News, so many others. I think Newsbreak or Newsweek, whatever it is. It's on now. Blah blah blah. But its portfolio of business ventures bulged with much more, and their impact on American culture was considerable. Excuse me. He created CNN Headline News and CNN International. Founded the cable and satellite sports and entertainment superstation TBS, which spawned the sister channel TNT, which continued to be around in our homes. Where you think AEW is right now? Where you think WCW was for most of the late 80s into the 90s, and then went to TNT. And then Billionaire Ted made WCW. But we'll get to that in a minute. In 1985, he bought MGM Studios' library of films for $1.5 billion. And 9 years later, created Turner Classic Movies, or TCM. Made a similar purchase of Hanna-Barbera cartoons. I didn't even know that. And relying on them, created a Cartoon Network in 1992. In 96, he merged his conglomerate. He merged TBS with Time Warner. We all remember the Time Warner fiasco with WCW, and then AOL Time Warner had the contracts all fucked up, and basically WCW went bye-bye. And then everybody went to Vince McMahon and WWF at the time. Well, it was WWF then, now it's WWE. So, there you go. Along the way, he found time and energy to captain the winning yacht team in America's Cup, 1977. And then became the owner of the Atlanta Braves, giving them national exposure on TBS, and I don't think TNT, well, really TBS, which they're not on anymore, which kind of sucks, but they're on Braves TV on the internet, I think. He said in 1988 in a Reader's Digest journal, he told Dale Van Atta, "I'm trying to set the all-time record for achievement by one person in one lifetime." You think Vince was going to do that? I know Vince had almost every territory in America back in the 80s. But, Ted Turner was like, beat that. But anyway, he had more money than Vince at the time. That puts you in a pretty big company. Alexander the Great, Napoleon, Gandhi, Jesus Christ the Lord, Muhammad, Buddha, George Washington, Franklin Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt, Winston Churchill. And not even his staunchest admirers placed him on a high pedestal. He was a piece of shit, really. But even bitter rival Rupert Murdoch, who once had his New York Post run the headline, "Is Turner insane?" had to concede that he was one of the most influential figures in the history of mass media. Guy was a legend. He was an Atlanta-based entrepreneur, took outstanding risk in business, often teetering on the edge of bankruptcy at times, and going back to multiply his fortune, and like I said, he became Billionaire Ted. He poured millions of dollars into pioneering ventures that combined cable and satellite broadcast. He warred against the big TV networks. He almost lost his shirt in Hollywood, but emerged from those gambles and brawls as a billionaire, astride a vast cable empire of news, sports, and entertainment channels. He was married 3 times, his last one ending in 2001, to Jane Fonda. That was a crazy marriage. Often, most of his marriage were often rocked by his open displays of infidelity, cheating, heavy drinking, and otherwise boorish behavior. He was nicknamed the Mouth of the South before, I think it was before Jimmy Hart got it. That I don't know, I have to look that up. But he was named Mouth of the South for his self-aggrandizing claims and a reputation of dispensing gratuitous insults. He was tall and slim with a craggy, mustached face that you could punch a wall through, punch this guy. Anyway, his gasps were repeatedly forgiven by an indulgent public who, in large part, considered him a living legend. He fucked up so bad, and people were like, oh, we don't care. His politics were contradictory and controversial. He claimed to be an arch-conservative Republican with warm ties to Christian evangelicals and far-right John Birch Society members. He also befriended Fidel Castro at one point. What? Good old Fidel, we know him. Defended the repressive conduct of the communist Chinese government. So, not one communist country, meaning Cuba, the other one in China. Crazy. He donated $1 billion to the UN at one point. He adored hunting, yet became a darling of environmentalists by buying more than 1 million acres of wilderness and ranch land, and then setting them aside as nature reserves. He became the 4th largest private landowner in the United States with 2 million acres, in addition to vast tracts he owned in Argentina and other countries. He was like a freaking, if you ever played the game Risk, you just take over every fucking country in that game, that was him. That's what Ted Turner was. He was like, I'm gonna get this, this, it's all mine. You can't have everything you want there, Ted. Just saying. His influence was most apparent in the way his CNN transformed television news by presenting it around the clock. Blah, blah, blah. And news is available almost pretty much everywhere now. Radio, TV, satellite, podcasts. CNN was like everywhere. The crushing of Tiananmen Square, Persian Gulf War in '99, even the fall of the Berlin Wall in the '80s. He was just amazing. President George H.W. Bush, not George Bush, in the late '90s, early 2000s. He said, "I learned more from CNN than I do from the CIA." Well, I don't trust CNN. I watch CNN. I don't give two fucks. Because they're a Democratic fucking channel. They don't give two fucks about, many presidents. They don't really give two fucks about Donald Trump. They hate him on that channel. And he hates them too. Fake news. But it is what it is. Ted himself professed not to be terribly interested in news or any other kind of business. It was the thrill of the hunt that drove him. As he told the New York Times, I've always been more of an adventurer than a businessman. He was born Robert Edward Turner III on November the 19th, 1938 in Cincinnati, Ohio. His father, Robert Jr., a native Mississippian, family had grown cotton. They moved to Ohio during the Depression. Married Florence Rooney, the daughter of a Cincinnati grocery chain worker. The elder Mr. Turner, known as Ed, later moved the family back to Georgia, where he started a billboard advertising company. He described his dad as an abusive alcoholic, whom he nevertheless admired and sought to please. He attended the McCallie School in Chattanooga, Tennessee, an all-white military academy that emphasized conservative Christian values. That's where he got the philanthropist part of his life. Worked for his father's company during the summer, painting billboards. His father made him use his wages to pay for his room and meals, or basically room and board in Savannah. Graduated in 1956 with good enough grades to gain entrance to Brown University. Very nice college. But he was no model student, obviously. William Kennedy, a former classmate, went on to become a Brown University official. Quoted in Citizen Turner, the biography of Ted Turner, he described young Ted as a bigot. Sorry to say that word, but I'm reading copy. A bigot, as maybe all of us were, in a sense, at the time. He drank excessively, sang Nazi songs outside a Jewish fraternity house. Oh, no. Put up Ku Klux Klan signs on a dorm dormitory doors of black students. Damn, this guy was a racist. He was finally tossed out of Brown after being caught in bed with a woman. Oh boy. I wonder if she was white or black. Who knows? Who knows with that? But anyway, he joined his father's company, Turner Outdoor Advertising, became the largest of its kind in the South. Working hard, but often devoting more energy to parties and to sailing, which would become a passion of his. In 1963, his 53-year-old father, Ed, after incurring steep debts to expand his billboard operations, struggling with alcohol and drug abuse and depression, shot himself to death in an upstairs bathroom at their home in Savannah. At 24, he was devastated and left feeling alone. He told Time Magazine, because I had counted on him to make the judgment on whether or not I was a success. He was still mourning the death of younger sister Mary Jean from lupus and encephalitis. He described her death as the reason he lost his religious faith. That sucks. Was also what galvanized him to become a super achiever in business. So he kept the business running, but his ambition did not end with billboards. In 1970, he went into debt to buy a small, failing Atlanta TV station, which he renamed WTCG for Turner Communications Group, which I think led to TBS. The station continued to hemorrhage red ink. It wasn't really doing any good with billboards to advertise the business. I'm not going to read a lot of everything. I'm taking this from the New York Times, by the way. Not Wikipedia, because I don't read Wikipedia. I only use Wikipedia for wrestling predictions. That's that. Yeah, like I said, he bought the Braves in 1976 for $500,000 in cash and $8 million at 6% annual interest over 10 years. By the way, the Braves are now worth $3.35 billion, according to Forbes magazine. That's a lot of money. He bought the Atlanta Hawks in 1977. So he did it all. He faced hefty fees for the use of an RCA satellite at one point. Had to purchase expensive new broadcasting equipment. Superstation was born. TBS was born in 1976, like I mentioned. He features steady stream of old movies and reruns of Lassie, I Love Lucy, at pretty much cheap cost. He humiliated his second wife, Jane Smith, a former Delta Airlines flight attendant with whom he had two sons, Beauregard, nice name, and Rhett, and a daughter, Jenny, by taking his girlfriends to Braves games. That sucks. He was barred from baseball in 1977 by then Commissioner Bowie Kuhn, Kuhn, for tampering with another team's player, Gary Matthews, a free agent outfielder for the San Francisco Giants, and for ignoring edicts by Mr. Kuhn. He responded, "I'm thankful he didn't have me shot. You're lucky too, but blah blah blah." Yeah, I'm not gonna read much into everything else. But yeah, he bought WCW, I think in the mid-'80s. And really was a big part of, WCW / the NWA in the early days of the NWA turning into WCW. And, NWA and TNA, NWA and WCW were so red hot on TBS. They put them on Saturday nights before Nitro came around. They were on Saturday nights at 6 o'clock, mostly live, and everybody was watching it. Everybody. And this is when the WWE were in the doldrums. And then Nitro came around, in the early to mid-'90s, and they got Hogan, they got Savage, and eventually the Monday Night Wars started. And Billionaire Ted was kind of there going, head-to-head with Vince McMahon. He almost put Vince out of business if Vince didn't, we all know the Monday Night War story, if Vince didn't, turn WWE around and made the Attitude Era, which was a big boom to WWF at the time, WWE. The 82 weeks that WCW was just destroying WWE in the ratings. If Vince didn't do the Attitude Era, I don't think we'd be talking about WWE anymore. I think they'd be out of business and Ted Turner might have bought it. Who knows? The what-ifs of wrestling, by the way. What if Ted Turner and, bought WWE from Vince McMahon? I doubt that would ever happen. But, because even if Vince's company was still garbage in 96, 97, 98, I think it's still be around today, but it's not as great as it was. The 90s garbage would have still continued. You wouldn't be talking about The Undertaker, Triple H, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and people like that. So. And then, I think the bad thing for Ted Turner and TBS and WCW was the AOL Time Warner merger. I think that was a bad deal. Like TKO and WWE right now. Bad deal. That's gonna kill the company eventually. I think that's why people are taking pay cuts, except for the big name stars, especially Roman. There was that story, I did a rant about it, like Roman might leave WWE because, TKO wants him to take a pay cut, and there was an update to that he's not taking a pay cut. So, they're trying to get him to do some shows now in June. So that whole story's like, he's not going to be around in June. I mean, we'll see what happens with that. I haven't heard an update to if he's going to be on shows in June. I just heard a rumor that WWE is trying to get him on for June. He's not going to be a Night of Champions. So, that kind of sucks. But what do you do with the build-up after Clash in Italy? Because that's where the last time we're going to see him is May 31st. So, but yeah, Ted Turner was part of that, and just sadly he passed away today at the age of 87 years old. A great man. We all remember him. If we're all wrestling fans. Some of us are not, but if you were a wrestling fan back in the 80s and the 90s, Ted Turner, or what Hogan called him, Billionaire Ted. They even did skits of him. It was just fucking funny. But, sadly, we have to pay tribute to Mr. Ted Turner. A great man, sadly passes away at the age of 87. I think from complications with dementia. So, that's pretty much it. Jane Fonda is probably, sad that, her now ex-husband has passed away. Kids, he had grandkids, all sad and everything. I would think that AEW, Tony Khan, probably have some type of in memoriam tonight for him. They maybe put up a graphic tonight. It would be nice, I don't know about TNA, Ring of Honor tomorrow. I'm hoping that SmackDown puts up something or mentions him on commentary. Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett mention Ted Turner's death on SmackDown tomorrow. And eventually, I think they'll do something for Backlash. They might mention it. Monday Night Raw, I think they might have an in memoriam to him. But I don't know. But we'll see what happens with that. But that's all I got to say about that. So, as I always do on my tribute videos, I'm going to take a toast to the faithful departed. And we all know it's actually Cherry Coke. So Ted Turner, Billionaire Ted, a great man. Grew up during my childhood, watching WCW on TBS, the NWA in the early days, all the way up until, the end of WCW, watching Braves games here and there, but, and now with AEW on, but TBS brought back wrestling to TBS and TNT, which is great. but probably going to be gone in about a year or two. Who knows where they're going to go with Warner Bros. Discovery now buying Paramount. I mean, they can't go there because TKO is kind of an affiliate of Paramount, which kind of sucks. So, it is what it is. So Ted Turner, billionaire Ted, hanging out, he's hanging up in heaven right now with Vince McMahon Sr., not Jr., not Vince McMahon we know now, but he's up there with all the big moguls up there, Vince McMahon, all the wrestlers up there. So, the billionaire Ted, rest in peace, sir. Cheers. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Leave me your thoughts and opinions about billionaire Ted Turner, passing away at the age of 87 today. Leave your thoughts and opinions down below. And like Trick Willie would say, let's talk about it. That's that. So, thanks for watching, everybody. Rest in peace, Ted Turner. Thank you for watching. God bless you all. Peace.